Well, the final descent. Welcome back, everyone. Yep, I'm your host, Moonlight Belladonna, and tonight I'm going to be taking a look at the Solstheim quest, the final descent, which was, well, one of the more interesting quests added with the Dragonborn DLC. So, a little background for this one. About 200 years ago, a man known as Creation is called to Solstheim by the East Empire Company, as apparently some of the miners had uncovered some ancient ruins and kind of wanted him to check it out. Unfortunately, he would never return. 200 years later, his descendant, Cratius, well, he kind of wants to figure out what happened to his ancestor. So he tasks you to head into the Raven Rock mine and see if you could uncover anything. This is where the quest gets really interesting. Um, After a bit, it gets revealed that this isn't just any ordinary pair of ruins. This is actually, in fact, a Draga dungeon. And, well, it gets even better than that, as at some point, you head deeper into these ruins and kind of find out that there's something off about them, as there lays a certain door that blocks off the rest of the dungeon. This is, of course, where Gratian has now had his final resting place. Of course, what did happen to him? Well, he mentions in his journal that he had come across a weapon known as the Bloodskull Blade, and some info about a group called the Bloodskull Clan. Of course, when he took the weapon, this is kind of where everything hit the fan, as his assistant was eventually killed, and he was basically left to die. When he had taken out the weapon, it awoken the Draga that were in the dungeon, and potentially something else. Of course, what lies past this door is probably one of the coolest things that I have ever seen in this game. What lies behind the door is a dragon priest known as Secrosis. Now, I don't know if he got woken up because of the Bloodskull Blade being removed, or if something else had awoken him. It's not really too difficult to defeat this guy. If you're in the Anniversary Edition, or if you have the Creation Club content, taking him out with lightning arrows and a bow of shadows worked pretty well for me. But if you don't have those versions, well, I would just probably try getting some Elven, maybe even Ebony arrows. Just make sure you have a strong bow and some strong arrows and a decent sneak stat. That's pretty much all you really need to take out this guy. So, of course, what else am I missing with this dungeon? Well, there's a word for dragon aspect down here, and also another neat surprise, that being one of Himaeus Moore's black books. This dungeon kind of gets you something else interesting, as you get one of the black books. Yeah, the ability you gain from this is actually pretty useful, as you get Champion's Insight, Scholar's Insight, or something else. I normally go with Champion's Insight, which, in my opinion, is one of the best abilities out of all the black books. But that's really it for the dungeon. Of course, we can go back to the dude and kind of tell him what happened to his ancestor. Although we shouldn't have probably warned him that, yeah, there's a bunch of dead stuff in this mine, and he'll probably come back. Because, little fun fact, you can actually encounter Draga Death Lords in here. You don't normally encounter them until, I think, your early 30s. I was, mid-20s when I went in here. Also, probably bad at dig, because I don't know what level Zakrosis spawns at. So, what are my thoughts and opinions? Well, personally, this is actually one of the coolest quests in the game. It has always been one of my favorites. In fact, I really do love the Dragon Priest quests. Unearthed is definitely my favorite one for Solstheim, but the Final Descent is definitely one of my other favorites. It's definitely a shame that there weren't more Dragon Priests introduced with the Solstheim DLC, but the ones that we did get were pretty memorable for the most part. I definitely recommend this quest for anyone who hasn't done it yet, and of course, another thing is that there will be another video kind of taking a look at, like, I guess, something else. I don't know how they're connected though. Well, actually, never mind. I mean, they're connected because they get you something special. But then there's also a third quest that's kind of connected to a second quest, but that's getting a little ahead of myself. So, till then, goodbye. And as always, I've been your host, and thank you for spending the time to watch this. Goodbye.